than viewing youth, peace and security as an entirely separate policy architecture, we can increasingly embed it into within existing national youth development, prevention, and peace-building frameworks. Distinguished Excellencies, let me reflect on one of the most important experiences on YPS in Northern Africa region. The emerging Libya experience provides an instructive example. Libya is advancing its youth peace and security framework through a partnership that brings together young people, public institutions, security actors, and civil society. This process operates through two complementarity pillars. The first, engage institutions, including the Minister of Justice, Interior, and Defense, through dialogue and capacity building. The second pillar is that engage civil society, youth activists, and community leaders within approximately 150 young people from Libya from different 5 regions. Importantly, the process is intended to move beyond consultation, and it seeks to, first, generate concrete policy recommendations, second, support locally led youth initiatives, and third, to establish a Libya Youth Coalition for Peace Building as a platform that connecting youth from institutions, civil society, and community within decision makers. These experiences underscore a broader lessons from Northern Africa. This lesson is that track 1.5, track 2 are very important in the region to advancing YPS framework. Think tanks, policy frameworks, civil society organizations, and above all, youth-led organizations are creating a space where formal institutions may not always able to reach. Across the region, the CSOs and the track 2 actors were able to, in Libya, facilitate community dialogue, supporting conflict transformation and strengthening political participation. In Tunisia, they have supported youth participation and enhancing the government ecosystem. In Egypt, they were able to increase the ability to build the capacity of youth on peace and security. Those are a few examples among others. Distinguished Excellencies, we also witnessed regional platforms such as Aswan Youth Dialogue, Tangier Process, and Youth Diplomacy Forums in Wahran further demonstrate the growing space for youth peace and security in Northern Africa region. The question before us is not simply whether Northern Africa need more youth peace and security policies. The more important question is that, how do we translate this growing momentum into a measurable and practical impact? And now allow me to highlight 4 priorities. First, we must strengthen coordination among government, regional institutions, and civil society. Second, we need to invest in implementation. Framework require resources, institutional ownership, clear timeline, and mechanisms for accountability. Third, youth participation must move beyond consultation. Young people must increasingly have meaningful space to contribute to decision-making on prevention, governance, and building positive peace. And fourth, and which is very important, we need to deepen regional cooperation and experience sharing while supporting RICS and REMS in Northern Africa region to further institutionalize YPS and embed it into their institutions. And always remember, as North Africa region, as a non-violent region, it's worth to know that YPS in non-conflict setting is required for advancing positive peace and preventing conflict. To conclude, I respectfully call upon our distinguished leaders to become even stronger champions of YPS agenda. The leadership demonstrated by His Excellency the President of Burundi provide an important example. We should equally harness existing continental and regional championship in the different files, including migration, combating extremism, post-conflict reconstruction, and other portfolios that directly affect young people in our priorities. Ultimately, Our objective must go beyond producing national action plan, but it must go for creating an ecosystem where YPS is able to flourish. I thank you all.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hasna. I promise we are almost there. I now invite Ms. Ruth K. Kangwa, the African Youth Ambassador for Peace for the Southern Africa region, to give the overview from her region. Within 3 minutes, Ms. Ruth. Oh dear.
Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Burundi, Chairperson of the African Union, Your Excellency, Commissioner Bankole, the First Lady of the Republic of Burundi, and Your Excellencies in the audience, I wish to ride on already observed protocols. Your Excellency, I will briefly share the Southern African perspective on the implementation of the Youth, Peace and Security Agenda as we stand in August 2026. For me, this work did not begin with my appointment as African Youth Ambassador for Peace. In October 2025, I was just a young girl advocating for young women's political participation called Girls Gone Political. But I happened to be found by your brother, President Hakainde Hichilema, who appointed and sworn me in as the youngest member to serve on Zambia's Technical Committee on Constitutional Reforms. I represented the voices of over 6 million young people, while also serving as Zambia's national focal point on youth, peace, and security, and contributing to the development of the National Security Strategy. Your Excellency, I brought this context out to show that these particular experiences found me where I am now as an IAP, and they helped me understand better that we should look at peace and security in a broader prospect, looking at it to understand how we govern, whether young people can participate, whether institutions are trusted for young people to also see themselves in decision-making. Your Excellency, I recognize that I'm also just building on the work of my 3 predecessors from Southern Africa, the previous IAPs, and their consultations and many engagements with member states and regional institutions created important foundations for this mandate. So where are we now as Southern Africa? Your Excellencies, I would describe the region as making very encouraging progress, with countries advancing the agenda at different stages and in very different ways. At regional level, we've got the support of the regional economic communities and the regional mechanisms such as SADC and COMESA, who are very important parts of this picture. SADC is advancing its regional YPS strategy through engagement with member states, national youth councils, as well as COMESA, that has been a very important regional platform that is housed in Zambia, together with the AU ECOSOC for YPS. And they've done this through intergenerational dialogues, ministerial dialogues, and the efforts to strengthen the capacities of national youth councils on the continent. All these regional institutions recognize the importance of this YPS agenda and how the relationship is close with peace, security, regional integration, but most importantly, development. Your Excellency, I bring out this connection because it matters to show that young people don't experience this peace and security issue separately. A young person who cannot find employment or who is excluded from political participation, who is exposed to misinformation, organized crime, violent extremism, or is displaced by conflict or climatic-related shocks, or a young person who has no safe avenue to raise concerns, does experience both a development and a peace and security challenge at the same time. And it is for this reason that I believe that the implementation of the Youth Peace and Security Agenda in Africa needs to be understood through the wider development nexus. When we go across Southern Africa, and I'll not be able to go through all the 10 countries, we see that Malawi was our first country in Southern Africa to adopt its National Action Plan in 2025 ahead of their 2025 general election. But this now provides an important platform to see how implementation will look like. When we take it to Mozambique, we've seen that they've illustrated the value of integrated approaches, and they've made very significant progress, even in Cabo Delgado, with national youth peace and security summits across the country focused on nationwide consultations on YPS. We take you to Namibia, where young people have moved from youth-led advocacy with the Namibia Youth Peace and Security Network into a formal national process. In May, with the support of the African Union Commission, the Namibia Youth Council, Namibia Youth Peace and Security Network convened a technical working group capacity building process towards Namibia's first National Action Plan. I would be doing injustice to not touch on the last 2 countries I'll bring out, particularly Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is particularly strategic as it continues its national youth peace and security process, but at the same time, their upcoming tenure on the United Nations Security Council as a non-permanent member in 2027 to 2028. This provides a significant opportunity to bring African perspectives on youth, global security, and many more discussions. Lastly, I'll end off with the country Zambia. The discussions towards a NAP are progressing through joint collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, as well as the Ministry of Youth and the National Council. This shows us how, beyond moving the policy frameworks, countries are increasingly demonstrating how YPS can translate. Your Excellency, I'll be concluding by sharing that in less than 4 months during this mandate of mine, we have been able to reach directly and take the African Union to more than 2,400 young people directly in secondary schools, and we piloted this in Zambia because 3 days from now, Zambia heads to the polls, and we thought it's very important to take peace and civic education into the classrooms, especially in conflict-prone communities. I end off now by also bringing a dear country to my heart, where I actually grew up, South Africa. South Africa right now offers 2 important dimensions of our update to you, Your Excellency. The first one, we are seeing very practical investment in youth peace building through the South Africa and Finland Youth Peace Mediators Mentoring Program. At the same time, Your Excellency, a critical issue of migration in Africa is an issue that we should be able to discuss constructively around jobs, access to public service, but as well as irregular migration, young people searching for greener pastures. The South African government has been very clear about its responsibility to manage its borders and enforce immigration law. President Cyril Ramaphosa has also emphasized that migrants should not become scapegoats for unemployment, crime, or pressures on public service. From a YPS perspective, this is relevant that I thought I'd bring this out because irregular migration, human trafficking, drug trafficking, unemployment, community tensions can intersect very quickly. As I walk away, I encourage everyone in the room to continue strengthening meaningful, peaceful participation, peace education, and preventative diplomacy. Your Excellency, with only 3 years remaining in the African Union's 2020 to 2029 implementation decade, I believe this is an important window to build greater political momentum beyond the development of national action plans to financing and implementing, so that we can build peaceful and prosperous